Hello, everyone. It's Blake Butler, the Executive Director of the North Carolina Industrial Hemp Association, back for another segment for Plant, our virtual event, our webinar, as we bring folks that know what they're talking about from the industry, have been in the game for quite a few years to share information with you. And we're very, very happy to have Laurie and Steve from Appalachian Growers with us today. They have been a strong member of the association for many years and been leaders out in Western North Carolina and been very open about, their development in the hemp industry. So thank you, Laurie and Steve, for being with us today.
Well, thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that I've always appreciated about you two, the first time I saw you speak 2+ years ago, you handed out a spreadsheet to the crowd and said, this is what we did wrong, and this is what we're going to adjust going forward. So knowing there's a lot of first-year planners out there, Laurie, and knowing they're getting ready to go into it for the first time, take us back a little bit and, give us some real kind of valuable tips that you would share with some of those folks that would reach out to you.
Yeah, well, the first thing is I was very naive going into this, not knowing a whole lot about the plant, not knowing a whole lot about the industry. So did a lot of background research, went to NOCO out in Colorado before we even broke ground, before we even bought seeds to try to find out the best genetics. Just learn what distillate was, what trichome was. So it was just a mystery to us. And we got into this because I had a passion in the health and wellness industry prior to this. Steve's always been like on the edge, let's go for something new and different. So it kind of pushed us together to go this, and it just kind of landed in our laps in the sense that we found a consultant out in Oregon that was a friend of Steve's, and that really helped us, because if we didn't have that, we would have really gone more blindly than what we did. So having
you got your guidance from someone that was a grower that could apply some of that skill set out here.
Right. So that was very important. Although they're in Oregon, we're in North Carolina, climate's different, soil's different. They helped us as much as they could, but they weren't familiar with what we were experiencing. We were experiencing 2 hurricanes that season, and they'd never ever had to experience that. So, what do we do? How do we handle it? How do we handle all the moisture that we were experiencing?
And you're at a high elevation too.
Yes,
You're up
so
there.
we're in a valley. So we stay with moisture until about 11 or 12 o'clock in the day.
Every morning there's fog.
And then the sun is so high, once it comes out, it's just burning the plants at that time. So we just had a lot of things we had to learn. Meanwhile, we were building a harvest building that was climate control, because we were told, you got to have a climate control building for your drying and curing. So that was the day we were harvesting, was the day it was completed. Barely.
That's the case with a lot of folks. Don't think you're alone there.
Hurricane was hitting at the same time, so we had a lot of things going on. But the first year mainly was, just learning as we were going, every little thing. My team were experienced growers, but they weren't experienced farmers. So we had to elicit the help from our local farmers. We have 3 farmers in our area. We have Nate Darnell, we have Nathan Moss, and we have J.W. Mitchell, who were all experienced farmers, and we knocked on their doors. We went to go say, hi, we need help, because we don't know how to farm.
And so, Stephen, what were some of those pests that showed up in those early days? Because as I talked to,
caterpillars.
Let's talk about that, because it's real important as you monitor those year by year and they come back in the same cycle. But what were some of those pest management techniques that you had to apply there on your grow?
So with the caterpillars,
we actually, read up on that a little bit and how to, get rid of them, mainly for the second year. Right. We put up purple martin houses, and we watched them. You can actually pull them up online, watch the map of them coming in. They send their scouts out, and you put up the houses at a certain time, certain week of the year. They send the scouts move in, and then the family ends up moving in. So we actually have video of the purple martins coming down into the field, grabbing the caterpillars and bringing them back.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
It is.
Well, we're organic. Everything we do, we have to be very conscious of how we're doing things. So that was the caterpillars. The first year, I had 35 laborers out picking the caterpillars off the plant
by hand.
And so, yeah, I might have made money the first year if I didn't have to do that. But and then, we definitely had mold, some issues with that. So we were having to fan leaf all the plants to open up the air,
backpack blowers.
We had backpack blowers. We were blowing the plants. We were doing anything that we could. Was it efficient? No. But we were trying to save the plants and trying to make it to the end.
And how important is scale, Laurie, in the beginning? I think that is.
Yeah. Well,
so
no one told me. No one told me not to do 10 acres my first year. Not being a farmer or a grower.
And so what advice would you give to a first, to be very realistic? And I know you and I both have talked about how important it is to have a business plan. But if you are planting without a buyer, I mean, you really need to be very conscious there of what you're doing.
Absolutely. Definitely start with a low amount. Learn what your soil is going to do. Learn what your weather in your area is going to do. Find your buyers. Find your supply. Where you're gonna take the end product. How you're gonna dry it, and how you're gonna cure it. That's key. Some people are like, oh, I want to grow hemp. I want to grow hemp. Well, what you're gonna do with it when you're done? Where's it going? This market's very different than what it was 3 years ago. We kind of had the opportunity to meet a lot of people that were interested in buying hemp 3 years ago. Last year, we had established those contacts, so they remain, and we keep on building those contacts, but it all was based from that first year. You're rarely going to get more because it's so saturated. So my caution to new farmers is know what you're going to do with it, because it hurts when you hear people are sitting on barnfuls of hemp and flower and they have nowhere to go and they're desperate to sell it. You want to try to help them. I mean, we're trying to help people daily get rid of their products so that they can have their farm survive or move forward on something else. That's the main thing. I would have started, it worked out, but I definitely would have started half of what I did. It would have been more manageable. It would have been better to learn in that scenario. For us coming in the way we did, if we would have kind of listened to that type of, if someone told us, we probably would have said, nah. But I'm telling you guys, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know how to grow, you don't know how to farm, you don't have an end game, go little.
Well, they need to start now, really, for their end game. Because when we started, as soon as the plants were in the greenhouse, we started putting our feelers out, see who wanted flower, how much flower we needed to grow compared to biomass, and then, figure it out from there. We had to see where our market was.
So what does that split look like now, if you don't mind me asking, Laurie, as far as, because you're known for your smokable hemp, quite honestly, you've grown some great flower, and I see it in retail locations as well as some of your extracts and other things. So what does that kind of split look like in your operation right now?
Well, this year is a tricky year. We don't really know the direction we're going. We were planning on doing a indoor greenhouse combination grow. We kind of put that on hold until we find out where we're headed with this, to put that kind of investment in something that may not be existing for us in a year. It was hard because everybody wanted to, but I was like, we can't, we are still proceeding, growing some outdoor flower that has been popular in our brand this year. And then we've moved on to some CBG flower that we're going to be first for us. And then we're working on our genetics for next year, and depending on where the USDA and the state decides for us to go, then we'll have to navigate those waters. Smokable situation, whether it's going to be allowed or not, we'll navigate those waters as they come. But right now we're kind of going on course of what's worked for us this past year. We have the clients that want what we have from this past year. They're happy with it. So we're going to grow what we had, continue servicing the people that, want it. We didn't want to grow 10 different strains. When you think about that, you have to test all 10 different strains. That costs money,
And an important thing right there, I want to stop you, testing. And that is something that I know you guys are both big on, because that's another way to be sure you not only hit the mark of what you're growing for and deliver that product, but you're not going to have any setbacks and any surprises when it's time to take that to market.
Right.
It's a good way to go broke too.
Yeah. The first year my accountant's like, now $6,000 in testing. I'm like, well, we knew exactly what the plants were, we knew exactly what was happening.
But it's well worth it to cover yourself every step of the way.
Right. And then we do the back end testing, we do everything, pesticides, heavy metals, microbial, anything that needs to be known. We test for that as well. So, and retest.
Yep.
And even with our biomass, we test the different levels of biomass for people, whether it's the top level biomass or the biomass that happened to have fallen on the floor in our harvest building. That's separated out, so there's different levels, and it's all tested the same way. So it's just as important. But yes, testing is important. Finding your lab that you can work with and understand is important. That will communicate to you and teach you how to read your reports. Because we didn't know anything about that either and what it meant, and help, let them help you figure out, are you done? Do you need to keep growing? Or, find your partner.
Yeah. And there's several labs too, because there's a lot of inconsistency in the type of testing that the labs do for you. So
it's worth, sending out to a few labs and comparing them. So to kind of wrap this up, and this is so important because this is why we're all doing what we're doing, to do some good out there, to really give some people natural relief. Stephen, give me an example of what you're kind of hearing from some of your customers and some of those that use the Appalachian Growers, products and flowers. I mean, I love to hear that, because what we really hear is some of those people that might have been trying something else for so many years and are finally trying some of our products, or are finding a new way to be relaxed.
Yeah. Now,
yeah, I mean,
every day I'm sorry, I'm
it's okay. It's all good.
If anyone knows me, they know I can't.
It's okay. We're all excited.
That is the biggest reason keeps us going. When we get an email or we get somebody say, "Oh my gosh, I'm sleeping," or we have people say, "My son's no longer having seizures," or this pain salve has helped my neck. I can turn my neck. That keeps you going. You're like, I'm doing something special out there, and I'm making it, and people can believe in us, and they believe in the product because, we share with them how much testing and how we do this, and that we're not sourcing it from, anywhere else, but where we grow. And that's important. And even people that white label underneath us, they carry that story with them. They're able to tell the people, we know exactly where this is coming from. They come out to the farm, they tour it. They see all of we're transparent. It's like, this is us. This is what we're doing.
They see the certifications. They see everything.
So it's that, and, I got my dad to try it. He has rheumatoid arthritis. Unfortunately, he's in the hospital right now, but he just told me yesterday, he's like, you know what? I didn't believe you, but I used that pain salve on my knuckles, and it really helped me.
Good. We're so happy to hear that. Well, I just want to thank both of you for your time. And folks, if you're watching right now, you can go to AppalachianGrowers.com and learn all about their entire operation. And like I said, they've been such a valuable, part of what we're building here in North Carolina and beyond, and willing to share information with one another to be sure we're all successful. So once again, Laurie and Steve, thank you so much for spending some time with me for this webinar plan, and thank you for your support of the North Carolina Industrial Hemp Association.
Well, the last thing I didn't get to say.
Yes, say it.
Before you plant those seeds, test your soil, test your water, make sure you're planting in a good area so that you're not at the end of the day saying, oh my, I didn't know I had pesticides. I didn't know I had heavy metals. Check it out before you plant, because that hemp plant's going to take it, and it will show itself at the end game.
It's a great point. And, I mean, it's worth going back for a second and looking at that, because we had a lot of farmers in the eastern part of the state that inherited fields that something else might have been planted on years ago, and, leftover pesticides. So a great point, Laurie. I mean, to all those first-time growers, please get that soil test. Realize what you're planting, because you're right, that hemp plant takes in everything from that soil.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Well, good luck, everybody. All right.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for your support. It's AppalachianGrowers.com, folks. Proud member of the association, and we appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you.